Welcome to today's deep dive. Whether you are listening on your commute, wrapping up some work at your desk, or just going about your day, we are really thrilled you're here.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for joining us.
Today, we are taking a stack of recent tech analysis and using it to uncover the real reason artificial intelligence is causing absolute panic in IT departments globally. And a quick spoiler alert for you right up front. It has absolutely nothing to do with people not understanding how to use the technology.
Right, yeah. It is a fundamentally different, much more structural problem, one that's just quietly breaking the backbone of enterprise technology while everyone else is, distracted by the shiny new features.
Exactly. And to guide us through this, we're looking at some seriously eye-opening source material today. The anchor piece is a recent article by prominent AI thought leader Johan Steyn.
Mm-hmm.
The title of his analysis really sets the stage perfectly. It's called Why AI is Overwhelming IT Departments? Tool Sprawl, Not Talent.
Tool sprawl, that's the key word there.
Right. And as we go through this, I want you to just picture the current state of your own digital workspace. Right now, AI is being embedded into literally everything.
Everything.
You open your email, there's an agent drafting your replies. You look at your CRM, there's an integration summarizing client histories. It's in meeting platforms, design software, coding environments.
And on the surface, that sounds like this incredible leap in productivity, right?
Yeah, I mean, who wouldn't want that?
But it sounds like progress only until you look at how it is actually being deployed. What we're seeing is the creation of a chaotic, completely unmanaged web of micro decisions.
Micro decisions. I like that phrasing.
Yeah, because AI in the enterprise is no longer a single massive program with a unified deployment strategy. It's 100 tiny, isolated decisions being made across dozens of different business units.
Right. And while each of those micro decisions might seem, perfectly rational to the marketing director or the HR manager making them,
In aggregate, they are creating a deeply unstable infrastructure.
which is exactly why this matters to you. Because whether you're a business leader who signs off on software approvals, or an IT pro pulling your hair out trying to manage all of this, or just a curious learner trying to navigate how the modern workplace actually functions, understanding this hidden AI sprawl is your ultimate shortcut to being genuinely well-informed.
Because you won't just see the individual tools anymore. You will understand the structural reality operating underneath them.
Right. And that structural reality is currently buckling under its own weight.
It really is.
Okay, let's unpack this. We should probably start with the big misconception. The most common assumption, the narrative that gets repeated in headlines all the time, is that IT departments are struggling because the teams just do not understand complex AI models.
Yeah, the old talent gap argument.
Exactly. There's this idea that we have a massive talent gap, that engineers don't know how to handle prompt engineering or navigate the new vendor stacks. People assume IT simply isn't trained enough to handle the AI revolution.
And Steyn's observation just completely dismantles that assumption. The reality is much more mundane, but honestly, the implications are far more dangerous. The core issue isn't talent, it's fragmentation. Across platforms, across language models, across vendors, organizations are assuming their primary AI challenge is a skills shortage, but what they are actually dealing with is an environment that has become practically impossible to standardize, govern, or scale safely.
And we have this fantastic term from the analysis to describe this. Pilot inflation.
Pilot inflation, yes.
Usually starts with relatively good intentions.
Right.
One marketing team decides to trial an AI chatbot to help sort through customer queries.
Sure, harmless enough.
Then, over in the legal department, someone buys a specialized summarization add-on to read through long vendor contracts.
Right.
Meanwhile, the HR team gets creative and builds an internal agent using low-code tools.
And at the exact same time, a major enterprise software vendor quietly bundles a new AI feature into an existing contract.
Before you know it, within just a few months, the company has acquired a massive, completely fragmented AI estate.
And we actually have hard data on this. Zapier ran some numbers on this late last year in December 2025, and the results highlight just how pervasive this is.
What did they find?
They found that only 35% of business leaders say all the AI tools used in their organization actually go through proper approval channels.
Wait, only 35%?
Yes.
So we are talking about an environment where roughly 2/3 of the time, leadership is fully aware that these tools are bypassing official checkpoints entirely.
Exactly. The vast majority of AI adoption is happening as shadow IT. And that same Zapier survey highlights this tool sprawl as a fundamental blocker to integration. You end up with all these tools floating around as isolated islands of technology.
I want to push back on that for a second, though.
Yeah.
Isn't decentralization sort of the whole point of modern technology? If a marketing team finds an AI tool that makes them 50% faster, why should they have to wait 6 months for an IT committee to approve it?
It's just a fair question.
Because it seems like bypassing the bottlenecks is how you get actual innovation.
And that is the exact argument business units use. And honestly, it made sense 10 years ago when we were talking about traditional SaaS software.
Right.
If a team bought an unapproved project management app back in 2015, the worst case scenario was usually just some siloed to-do lists.
A bit annoying, but not catastrophic.
Exactly. But AI tools are fundamentally different because of their autonomy and what they require to function. Traditional software just sits there waiting for input. AI tools actively read, process, synthesize, and potentially leak proprietary company data.
Oh, wow.
The autonomy of these tools is what makes the sprawl toxic.
That brings us right to the core of Steyn's analysis. This sprawl creates 3 massive headaches for IT departments, which he calls the 3 hidden taxes of tool sprawl.
Right.
Let's explore these, starting with the first one, the integration tax.
But that tax is levied incredibly heavily on the IT department because an AI system is practically useless in a vacuum. A customer service chatbot that doesn't have secure access to your product inventory cannot actually resolve a ticket.
Right, it just gives generic answers.
Exactly. An AI summarizer that cannot read your internal knowledge base is essentially just a blank text box. These tools require deep access to company data, workflows, and identity controls to know who is allowed to see what.
And when every single department across a company picks a different AI tool, IT is the one forced to stitch them all together.
What's fascinating here is that they have to build custom connectors between systems that were never designed to talk to each other.
It's like asking IT to build a single plumbing system for 100 different types of sinks.
That's exactly what it is.
They have to reconcile entirely different permission models. If marketing uses a tool based on one cloud provider and legal uses a tool based on another, IT has to figure out how to manage access for an employee who needs to work across both.
The sheer volume of work is staggering. They're aggregating audit logs from a dozen different vendors just to maintain basic compliance. And all of this incredibly difficult, highly specialized integration work is completely invisible to the rest of the company.
Until it breaks.
Exactly. Nobody notices the underlying architecture until something stops working.
For anyone unfamiliar with the concept of technical debt, this is a textbook example. Technical debt is essentially the future cost of taking the easy way out today.
Yes.
By letting every department buy their own distinct AI tools now without a unified plan, IT is forced to pay the debt of untangling and integrating those systems later. And when those custom integrations inevitably break, it becomes a massive drop-everything emergency for the IT team.
Which naturally leads right into the second major headache, inconsistent governance.
Right.
When you have this massive pilot inflation, different teams apply totally different rules. Think about data privacy policies, data retention schedules, or prompt logging.
And prompt logging, just to be clear for everyone, is keeping a secure record of what employees are actually asking the AI and what data they're feeding into it so you can audit the interactions later.
Exactly. And in a sprawling environment, some departments might enforce hyper-strict logging, while others might be using free web-based tools that actually train public models on your proprietary data.
Which is terrifying.
It is. This is how severe risk quietly creeps into an organization. You have highly sensitive company information sitting in the wrong storage environment. You have business decisions being made based on AI insights with absolutely zero clear accountability.
Yeah, think about it. If the marketing chatbot hallucinates a company policy and promises a customer a refund, or if the legal summarizer misses a crucial liability clause in a contract because it was using a cheaper, less capable model, who is actually responsible?
The chain of accountability is completely broken, and major technology players are acutely aware of this chaos. Microsoft, for instance, announced a major suite of new security and governance innovations in December 2025.
Oh.
Their entire focus was pushing a centralized oversight, specifically for Microsoft 365 Copilot and its various agents. They are actively trying to build unified views across administrative controls. They're practically shouting at enterprise customers that the scattered, chaotic oversight created by tool sprawl is completely unsustainable.
So what does this all mean when we look at the bottom line? That brings us to the third tax, drifting costs.
Yes, the financial side.
Technology isn't cheap, but the way AI spending materializes in this sprawling environment is uniquely frustrating for organizations. The AI spending gets completely buried.
It really does. The costs are hidden inside departmental credit card subscriptions, or they get bundled into larger, incredibly opaque cloud consumption bills.
Mhm.
Procurement doesn't see a clean line item labeled company-wide AI initiative. They see 50 different expenses labeled marketing software upgrade or HR efficiency tool.
And when the quarterly cloud consumption bill comes in, and it is just astronomically high because all these disparate AI agents are constantly pinging databases and running expensive compute cycles, who gets the blame?
IT.
Always IT.
The IT department gets yelled at for skyrocketing AI costs. But they have absolutely zero authority to actually rationalize the tools. They can't tell the marketing director to cancel a subscription they never approved in the first place. They just get handed the bill for an infrastructure they didn't even design.
And if we zoom out from the immediate operational annoyances, the integration headaches, the governance gaps, the drifting costs, you start to see why this is a looming strategic disaster.
It's huge.
This is not just a help desk problem. We have a recent Gartner CIO survey published in November 2025 that paints a very clear, very aggressive timeline. They predict that artificial intelligence will touch all information technology work by the year 2030.
Let's just linger on that for a second. All IT work. By 2030, that is less than 4 years away.
Yeah.
We are not just talking about chatbots here. We're talking about network routing, infrastructure provisioning, cybersecurity monitoring, everything. Every line of code, every deployment, every architectural decision will involve AI. The core implication of that Gartner survey is profound. If your organization does not standardize its AI approach right now, you're not just maintaining a messy status quo, you are actively scaling your complexity for the future.
Wow.
Every unmanaged tool you allow into your environment today multiplies the technical debt you will have to pay off before that 2030 window closes. You are essentially building your future enterprise architecture on quicksand.
And we are already seeing the cracks form in real time. There is a piece from Tech Central that Steyn references, and the headline alone is pretty sobering. AI complexity is crippling IT departments.
Yep.
It highlights exactly what you just described. All of this unmanaged AI is not simplifying environments the way the glossy vendor brochures promise. It's making the IT infrastructure heavier, slower, and infinitely more brittle.
Which brings us to perhaps the most urgent warning in all of our source material today, and this is specifically for the security teams.
Listen up.
In February 2026, HelpNet Security published an analysis looking closely at the impact of AI-driven IT spend. Their warning is incredibly blunt. This kind of tool sprawl creates massive blind spots across a company's digital footprint, leading to incredibly weak asset visibility.
Meaning the security team literally does not know what tools are plugged into their network, what data those tools have access to, or where that data is being sent.
Exactly. And a network with massive blind spots and weak asset visibility is exactly the kind of environment where modern cyber attacks thrive. Let's think about the mechanics of an unmanaged AI ingest tool getting breached.
Okay.
If a shadow AI tool has read access to your CRM so it can draft customer emails, and that tool is compromised by a threat actor, the blast radius is massive.
Because the attacker doesn't need to breach the CRM directly.
Yeah.
They just walk right through the front door of the poorly secured, unapproved AI add-on that a department bought on a corporate credit card.
Precisely. If security doesn't know a tool exists, they cannot patch it, they cannot monitor its data flow for anomalies, and they cannot shut it down when an intrusion occurs. Tool sprawl is no longer just an inefficiency or a cost issue. It is a critical vulnerability that expands the attack surface exponentially.
Johan Steyn has this incredibly memorable metaphor to describe what organizations are doing wrong here, and it perfectly captures the reality on the ground. He says organizations are allowing AI to grow like mold.
Like mold. It's visceral, but it is highly accurate.
Think about how mold actually grows. It pops up everywhere in different shapes, usually in the dark corners where no one is looking.
No.
There is absolutely zero overarching plan for containment.
Right.
It just spreads organically wherever there's moisture or in the corporate world, wherever there's a departmental budget. And if you let mold grow unchecked behind the walls, eventually the structural integrity of the entire house is compromised.
And the traditional response to a mold problem, just sending in a cleanup crew after the fact, does not work here. Steyn is very clear on this point. IT cannot simply be the designated cleanup crew for AI sprawl.
because a cleanup crew will always be months or years behind the proliferation.
Exactly.
So what is the actual fix? How do we stop the mold from growing without entirely suffocating the innovation that business units are trying to achieve?
The only sustainable way forward is a fundamental shift in how businesses operate. It must become a partnership. Business leaders need to understand that if every division buys tools freely, they are actively sabotaging their own infrastructure.
Right.
The proper operational model requires business units to bring the problems and the priorities to the table. They define the need. We need to summarize documents faster, or we need predictive customer routing. Then, IT brings the standards, the underlying architecture, and the ability to scale that solution safely across the enterprise.
It's about treating AI like an actual mature enterprise capability, rather than a collection of random rogue experiments. Steyn lists out the necessary fixes. He admits these fixes are boring, but they are absolutely vital to survival in this landscape.
The boring stuff usually is.
Right. We need to rationalize the tools. Instead of buying 5 different summarization engines for 5 different departments, an organization needs to evaluate and agree on one enterprise-grade solution.
Organizations must also standardize governance, which aligns perfectly with what Microsoft and other major players are aggressively pushing for. They need to build shared, secure platforms that all departments can utilize. And critically, leadership needs to clearly define exactly who supports what. Clear ownership is the absolute antidote to sprawl.
When a tool breaks, or when a data privacy issue arises, there must be a documented, universally understood chain of responsibility. I know that sounds like a lot of corporate red tape to people who just want to move fast and break things, but setting those guardrails early is what prevents the company from driving off a cliff.
Yeah.
Guardrails don't exist to slow the cars down. They exist to keep the cars on the track so they can go faster safely.
That is a crucial distinction. The goal isn't to stop AI adoption. The goal is to build an environment where AI can actually deliver on its massive potential without creating a sprawling, unmanageable, and insecure nightmare for the people tasked with keeping the digital doors open.
As we wrap up today's deep dive, the core takeaway I want you, the listener, to walk away with is this. AI is absolutely going to reshape business. That Gartner prediction for 2030 is very real and it is approaching fast. But this technology is only going to deliver sustainable long-term value if organizations stop confusing random tool adoption with an actual strategy.
Absolutely.
Buying a bunch of isolated AI applications isn't a strategy, it's just a shopping spree. We have to start designing AI estates that can actually be operated, secured, and trusted by the IT professionals keeping the lights on. If you want to dig deeper into these concepts and read the full analysis, I highly recommend checking out more of the author's work over at a4business.net.
Before we go, this raises one final important question I want to leave you to mull over. We have spent this time discussing the structural and security problems of having dozens of unmanaged AI tools today. But imagine the operational reality just a few years from now as these models become far more agentic.
Okay.
If every individual application and every individual department has its own siloed AI making autonomous decisions about your company's workflows and data, how long until these disparate AI tools start contradicting or actively fighting each other over the exact same process? And when the autonomous bots inevitably disagree on a business decision, who do you fire?
Wow. That is a wild, slightly terrifying thought to end on.
I don't know.
A literal turf war between departmental AI agents operating at light speed behind the scenes.
It's coming.
Definitely something to keep in mind the next time you are approving a new software request for your team. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive today. We love unpacking these complex technology realities, and we hope you walk away feeling just a bit more equipped to navigate the chaos of the modern workplace. Catch you next time.